The strangest part of what happened that night wasn't the man at the bar. It wasn't even the message he sent later. It was the fact that, somehow, he knew where my sister lived. 5 years ago, my older sister Jen was single and using Tinder to meet people. She was 5 years older than me, and that night, she told me and our other sister, Maria, that she was meeting a guy at a bar a few blocks from our house. It sounded completely ordinary. She drove there, walked inside, and took a seat at the bar. Almost immediately, she texted the guy she was supposed to meet, letting him know where she was sitting. Then, less than a minute later, a man sat down beside her. He offered to buy her a drink. Jen immediately noticed that he was significantly older than her. According to her, he smelled terrible. His breath was bad, and one of his front teeth was crooked in a way she remembered clearly. She declined. "No, thank you. I have someone coming to meet me." That should have been enough. It wasn't. The man stayed where he was, telling her he'd buy her a drink while she waited for her date. Jen tried to make it clear that she wasn't interested. Eventually, she looked directly at him and asked him to leave her alone. He finally got up, but he didn't leave the bar. Jen watched him out of the corner of her eye. She called it a sight glance, just enough to see where he'd gone without making it obvious that she was watching him. He had moved to one of the nearby booths. She immediately texted her date. "Please hurry." There was no response. A few minutes passed. She sent another message. "Where are you?" This time, the response came back. He was running late. He told her to get a drink or two without him. Something about that message felt wrong to Jen. It wasn't the kind of thing she expected from someone who was supposed to be meeting her for the first time. And then the older man came back. He sat beside her again. He asked where her date was. He seemed irritated that she was still sitting there alone. Jen answered him once or twice, but eventually she reached the point where she couldn't tolerate it anymore. "Please leave me alone." Then she sent her date one final message. "Sorry, I'm gonna leave." She pressed send, and that's when she noticed something that made her stomach drop. The phone sitting on the bar beside the older man suddenly vibrated. Jen looked at it, and in that instant, she put everything together. The phone had received the message she had just sent. The man beside her wasn't some random stranger bothering her while she waited. He was the man she had been texting. Jen didn't confront him. She didn't accuse him. Instead, she told him she was going to the bathroom. Then she called Maria. I was nearby and could hear enough of the conversation to understand that something was seriously wrong. Maria told Jen exactly what she needed to hear. "Just leave. Go home." Jen went into the bathroom, waited there for a moment, and then came back out. The man was gone. For the first time that night, she probably felt like she could breathe. She walked straight out to her car. The drive home was short and almost completely linear. The bar was only a few blocks away, and she made it back in just a couple of minutes. But when she pulled into the driveway, she noticed another car. It had stopped across the street, not directly in front of our house. One house over. Jen got out and started walking toward our front door. She kept looking back toward the car, trying to figure out whether it was connected to what had happened at the bar. She came inside. From this point forward, I can tell you exactly what happened because I was there. Maria and I came to meet her and ask what had happened. Jen immediately went to the window and carefully creased the blinds so she could look outside without being seen. She told us there had been a car outside. She believed the person inside had followed her home. But when the three of us looked through the blinds, there was nothing there. No car, no person, nothing. That was almost more unsettling. Jen finally told us the whole story about the bar. Maria did a much better job comforting her than I did. I guess that's what sisters are for. I tried to make Jen feel safer in the only way I knew how. "If that guy ever steps foot near you again," I told her, "I'll kick his ass." For a while, things settled down. Eventually, we all went to our rooms and started doing our own thing. I sat at my computer playing Far Cry 4. The house became quiet. The conversation downstairs was over. The strange car was gone. The man from the bar was gone. As far as we knew, the night was finally finished. Then, while I was focused on the game, I heard something that instantly cut through the noise coming from my computer. My sisters were screaming. Not laughing. Not arguing. Screaming. I froze. Then I heard it again. And suddenly, everything that had happened at the bar felt like it had only been the beginning. Let me go back to Jen's perspective for a moment. She had been lying in bed using her phone when a message arrived from the number she believed belonged to her date. The first message said he was sorry. He claimed he hadn't seen her earlier text until he got to the bar. Jen didn't respond. She had already figured out who the number belonged to. She knew the man at the bar had been using that phone. Then another message appeared. This one was different. He said he was going to meet her at her house. Then came the question that changed everything. Which window is yours? Jen immediately called Maria into her room. She showed her the messages. The two sisters started trying to figure out what to do. They were still talking when something happened that neither of them could have expected. Jen's bedroom window slid open. For a moment, neither sister moved. Then someone tried to push their way through the roller shade. The window was being opened from the outside. A person was trying to get in. Jen and Maria screamed. Their screams were loud enough to send me running from my room, and our parents came rushing downstairs from upstairs at the same time. By the time we reached Jen's room, the man had already stopped trying to get inside. He gave up before we could get there. My parents were there almost immediately, but whoever had been outside had already disappeared. My dad ran outside and tried to chase after him, but the man was already gone. His car was gone too. There was no one standing outside. No explanation for how long he'd been there, and no way of knowing whether he had been watching the house before the message arrived. My dad called the police. Jen gave them the man's cell phone number and showed them the text conversation. The police took records of the messages and told us they would do what they could to trace the number, but they warned us it could take several days. That night, the house felt completely different. Every sound mattered. A vehicle passing outside, a floorboard shifting, the wind against a window. Even silence felt threatening. Jen had gone from meeting someone at a bar to having a stranger follow her home and attempt to enter her bedroom window. And the most disturbing part was that he had known exactly where to look. He had asked which window was hers. Then, almost immediately, someone had tried to get through it. There was no mystery about whether the danger had been real. We had all heard it. We had all seen the aftermath. And now the police had the number. We assumed that would be enough. We were wrong. After the police left, the night continued slowly, almost painfully. My dad did everything he could to make sure the house was secure. The immediate danger seemed to be gone, but none of us knew whether the man had simply driven away or whether he might return. Jen stayed inside. No one wanted her anywhere near that window. The messages were saved. The number had been given to the police. We had the description of the man from the bar, his appearance, the way he smelled, the crooked front tooth, and the car he had used to follow Jen home. It felt like there were enough pieces to identify him. All we could do was wait. The police said they would try to trace the number. For several days, we heard nothing. Then, after the weekend, my dad received a call from the local police station. They asked him to come in. When he arrived, they explained what they had discovered. The phone number wasn't connected to a normal phone in the way we had expected. It was a fake number created through an app. That meant tracing it back to a specific person or physical phone wasn't guaranteed. The messages were real. The number was real enough to receive and send them, but the identity behind it was hidden. My dad asked the police to do whatever they could, and then there was nothing more we could do. Weeks passed. We never heard anything else from the police. Life slowly returned to normal. The fear didn't disappear all at once. It simply became quieter. Eventually, we stopped talking about the night every day. The story became something that had happened, something frightening, something we didn't understand. And like most things that happen in life, it slowly became easier to push into the back of our minds. But there were questions that never really went away. How long had that man been watching Jen at the bar? Had he recognized that she was alone before he approached her? Had he deliberately used a different identity to get her to the bar? Or had he simply seen an opportunity when she arrived? We didn't know. We still don't. The message about meeting her at home was especially disturbing because it meant he had decided to take the encounter somewhere else. And somehow, he knew where she lived. He had followed her. He had watched her enter the house. Then he had gone directly to the bedroom window. He didn't knock. He didn't call out. He tried to come through the window. That detail is what stayed with me. Because whatever his intentions were, he had already crossed a line before we ever knew he was there. 5 years have passed since that night. Jen eventually moved on with her life. She is now with her current boyfriend, and the night at the bar became something buried in the past. But some memories don't disappear just because time moves forward. I still remember sitting at my computer playing Far Cry 4. I remember the sudden sound of my sisters screaming. I remember running toward Jen's room without knowing what had happened. And I remember learning that someone had been outside her window. What makes the story frightening isn't anything supernatural. There was no ghost, no unexplained creature, no impossible event. Everything that happened could have been done by an ordinary person. That's what makes it so disturbing. A stranger sat beside my sister at a bar. He ignored her attempts to get rid of him. He watched her while she waited. He used a phone to communicate with her. He followed her home. Then he sent a message asking which window belonged to her. And when she didn't respond, someone tried to push through that window. The police investigated. They traced the number as far as they could. But the number had been generated through an app, leaving them without a reliable path back to the person who had used it. After that, nothing. No arrest. No explanation. No final conversation with the man. Just silence. And that's probably the hardest part to accept. We like to believe there is always a reason behind frightening events. We want to believe that if something dangerous happens, someone will eventually explain it. But people don't always make sense. People sometimes do things because they believe they can get away with them. They convince themselves that nobody will notice, that nobody will stop them, that the person they're targeting won't fight back. I think about that whenever I remember Jen's story. She went to a bar expecting to meet someone she'd been talking to. Instead, she met a man who wouldn't respect the word no. She trusted her instincts when something felt wrong. She left. She called Maria. She drove home. And even then, she wasn't safe. Because the man had followed her. He knew where she lived. And while we were inside our house thinking the danger was finally behind us, he was outside her bedroom window, trying to get in. We never found out exactly what he intended to do. Maybe that's the question that will always remain unanswered. What would have happened if Jen hadn't noticed the phone? What if she had stayed at the bar? What if she hadn't called Maria? What if she had ignored the messages? And most frightening of all, what if my sisters hadn't screamed when they did? We may never know. But one thing is certain. That night began with an ordinary date at a bar and ended with a stranger trying to climb through my sister's